We seek a dangerous fugitive. This is no common anarchist, but a devotee of the treasonous Jedi Order. Failure to turn over this traitor will result in a charge of sedition. Turn yourself in, or everyone present shall face summary execution.
2019 Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order was the first major Star Wars game in a long time that delivered the action-adventure Jedi fantasy that fans of the property had been craving in the game space for years. And though it wasn't a perfect game, it laid down an excellent foundation and set the stage for developer Respawn Entertainment to continue to do things that are exciting for the franchise. Not long from now, the developer will be releasing its sequel with Star Wars Jedi Survivor, and as we count down the days to its release with giddy anticipation, here we're going to take a look back and refresh ourselves on the first game's story, so we can prepare ourselves for what lies ahead.
Who is your master, Padawan? Someone I killed, perhaps?
Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order is set about 5 years after the events of Episode 3, Revenge of the Sith, which means that when the game kicks off, the galaxy is in a dark place, to say the very least. 5 years ago, the Sith Lord Sheev Palpatine, or Darth Sidious if you want to go by his Sith name, enacted his masterful plan of executing Order 66, which caused the destruction of the Jedi Order, leaving most of the galactic peacekeeping knights dead and forcing the rest into hiding or exile. That also paved the way for the dismantling of the Galactic Republic, with Palpatine replacing it with a totalitarian and despotic empire. Fallen Order's story focuses on Cal Kestis, a young man who, at the time of the event, now known as the Great Jedi Purge, was a Padawan under the training of his master, Jaro Tapal. When Order 66 was executed, Jaro was one of the countless Jedi to be killed, sacrificing himself so his apprentice could escape, and Cal has spent the years since then in hiding, keeping his connection to the Force and his ties to the Jedi Order firmly hidden away, lest he fall into the hands of the Empire and meet the same fate as his master. The beginning of the game finds Cal on the planet of Bracca, where he works as a scrapper salvaging destroyed ships from the days of the Clone Wars. During an unfortunate accident, however, Cal is forced to use the Force to save the life of his friend and fellow scrapper, Prauf. No good deed goes unpunished though, because him using the Force attracts the attention of the Empire, which dispatches 2 Inquisitors to the planet, the Second Sister and the Ninth Sister, elite agents of the Empire who, like other Inquisitors, use the dark side of the Force to hunt down any surviving Jedi that they can find. In the chaos that ensues upon the arrival of the Inquisitors, Prauf is murdered, and Cal makes his narrow escape, managing to slip through the fingers of his pursuers thanks to an unlikely rescue, just in the nick of time by a pair of smugglers aboard a ship known as the Stinger Mantis. Grease Dretas, the owner and pilot of the ship, and Seer Junda, a former Jedi who is now in hiding, who cut herself off from the Force years ago for reasons unknown. Cal quickly forms a friendship with his rescuers and learns that Seer didn't just save his life out of the goodness of her heart. She also wants to take him to the planet of Vagano, where she is hoping that thanks to him still being in touch with the Force, he will be able to enter a locked vault that she believes to be of great importance. Cal agrees, and upon landing on Vagano, heads out for the vault. On the way, he meets and befriends a droid named BD-1, who shows him a holographic message from the now-dead Jedi Master, Eno Cordova, who was Seer Junda's master when she was still a Padawan in her younger days. Cordova, it turns out, hid a Jedi holocron inside the vault, which was built by an ancient civilization known as the Zepho. That holocron contains a list of Force-sensitive children scattered throughout the galaxy, which Seer realizes can be used to rebuild the Jedi Order, and, in turn, fight back against the Empire and restore peace and order to the galaxy. The vault is locked, however, and the only way to open it is to follow in Cordova's footsteps, take the path he once took, and pass his test, which will take them to several different places in the galaxy. The first step on that path takes Cal to the homeworld of the Zepho, where he discovers that the Zepho used to have contact with the Wookiees, which means Cal's next destination is the Wookiees' homeworld, Kashyyyk, where he must find the Wookiee chieftain Tarful, who was a friend of Cordova's and could have information about what to do next. On Kashyyyk, Cal meets with notorious hot-tempered resistance leader Saw Gerrera, a character fans of the Star Wars series will be very familiar with, and helps him and his followers fight the Imperial occupation on the planet and free several Wookiees that have been enslaved by the Empire. As far as his main mission is concerned, however, Cal doesn't make much progress. Tarful is nowhere to be found, which means he's hit something of a dead end. In hopes of finding more clues about the Zepho Vault on the planet of Bogano, the crew of the Stinger Mantis returns to the ancient race's homeworld, where Cal once again comes face to face with the second sister. A fight ensues, and though Cal is able to hold his own, he discovers some crucial information. The second sister reveals that her name is Trilu Suduri. She was once a Jedi Padawan to none other than Sera Junda herself, but after Seer gave up her location to the Empire after being tortured, Trilla gave in to the dark side and became an Inquisitor. She warns him that her former master will eventually betray him as well, and retreats. That revelation, as you might imagine, causes some tension between Cal and Seer. Back to the mission at hand though, Cal's trip to the Zepho homeworld isn't a total bust. He learns that to access the vault, he'll need a Zepho artifact known as an Astrium. Everything comes at a cost though, because promptly after discovering that information, Cal is ambushed by bounty hunters who knock him out and take him captive. When he wakes up, he finds out that he was captured by a criminal syndicate known as the Haxian Brood, and is forced to fight in a gladiator arena owned by crime boss Sork Tormo, who ordered Cal to be captured due to debts that Grease owes to the Brood. Thankfully, this proves to be little more than a brief distraction, because Cal is quickly rescued by Grease and Seer. Following that, they receive communication from Kashyyyk. Chieftain Tarful has resurfaced and is willing to speak to Cal. The Stinger Mantis returns to the Wookiee homeworld, and Cal speaks to the chieftain, who tells him that he'll find answers atop the Origin Tree, a massive tree that holds great spiritual importance to the Wookiees. When he gets there, Cal finds another holographic message left behind by Cordova, informing him that he can find an Astrium on the planet of Dathomir, using which he can finally unlock the vault on Bogano. Promptly afterward, he is attacked by the Ninth Sister, though Cal is able to successfully defeat her in combat and kill the Inquisitor. The crew of the Mantis then heads to Dathomir, though the planet is in turmoil, and Cal quickly realizes that there is no shortage of obstacles in his way. Back during the Clone Wars, Dathomir was ravaged due to countless battles at the hands of the Sith, which in turn resulted in the almost complete destruction of the Night Sisters, an ancient clan of magic-wielding women who were exceptionally strong with the dark side of the Force. One of the few surviving members of the clan still on the planet is Night Sister Merrin, who has been led to believe that it was the Jedi who were responsible for the destruction of the Night Sisters, and led to believe by whom exactly? That would be Taran Malikos, a former Jedi who managed to escape the Purge by crash landing on Dathomir, following which the many trials and tribulations he faced on the planet led to him giving in to the dark side of the Force. Desperate to learn more about the dark side and its secrets from the remaining Night Sisters, he started to manipulate them, which included turning Merrin against the Jedi. When he lands on Dathomir, Cal encounters Merrin, and as a Jedi Padawan, she has no love lost for him, and decides to use her dark magic abilities to stop him from doing whatever it is he wants to do. For starters, Cal experiences a flashback that takes him right back to the day of the Great Jedi Purge, and once again witnesses his dead master, the Jedi Knight Jaro Tapal, sacrificing himself to save Cal's life. Following that, Cal is attacked by what looks like the spirit of Jallo, while Merrin also uses her abilities to resurrect many of her dead sisters to fight Cal. The encounter against his dead master's spirit is not only an emotional draining one though, it also results in the destruction of his lightsaber. Cal flees from the planet, and aboard the Stinger Mantis, he learns that Seer too has dabbled with the dark side, and briefly gave into its powers upon learning that her Padawan Trilla, now known as the Second Sister, had become an Inquisitor, which is why Seer has cut herself off from the Force. Back to the here and now though, Cal is obviously going to need a lightsaber if he wants to proceed forward with his mission, and so the Mantis travels to the planet of Elam, where he finds a lightsaber and crafts a new lightsaber for himself. A fun little side note before we move forward. As those who have seen Star Wars The Force Awakens will know, Elam goes on to be converted by the First Order into Starkiller Base many years later and is eventually completely destroyed. Back to the story at hand. Cal returns to Dathomir with a new lightsaber in hand, and here he once again faces the spirit of Taro. This time, however, he is finally able to overcome his guilt and defeat the spirit of his former master. Following that, things come to a head between Cal, Merrin, and Malicos. Malicos attempts to convince Cal to become a student and learn the ways of the dark side with him, but when Cal refuses, the former Jedi attacks him. In the fight that ensues, however, Cal has an unlikely ally by his side, Merrin, who is finally able to realize that Malicos has been manipulating her for years, and that the Jedi weren't responsible for the destruction of the Night Sisters after all. Together, Cal and Merrin are able to defeat Malicos, with their fight eventually ending with Merrin burying him alive in a tomb. After the fight, Cal also convinces Merrin to join the crew of the Mantis. Now, with an Astrium finally in their possession, the crew of the Stinger Mantis heads back to Bogano. Cal uses his artifact to unlock the vault and retrieve the holocron, though when he does, he experiences a vision that plants a seed of doubt in his mind that maybe using the Force-sensitive children throughout the galaxy might not be the best course of action after all. The vision shows him and Cere building the Jedi Order, only for it to be defeated again, with them being tortured afterward, and Cal eventually giving into the dark side and joining the Empire. As soon as the vision ends, more adversity strikes. Trilla attacks him, steals the holocron, and quickly flees from the planet. This, however, proves to be a turning point for the story, what with the end now being firmly in sight. It's at the point that Cere decides to resume her role as a proper Jedi. She accepts the Force once again and promptly knights Cal, which means he's no longer a Padawan and has completed his training to become a full Jedi Knight as well. Cere also tells him that she has a pretty good idea of where Trilla is headed. Cal and Cere finally come face to face with Trilla once again. This time, Cal is able to defeat her in battle and retrieve the holocron. Following the battle, Cere attempts to reconnect with her former Padawan and pulls her back from the dark side of the Force. And as often happens in Star Wars stories, she actually succeeds. Her victory is short-lived though, because though Trilla briefly returns to the light, someone promptly arrives at the scene to correct her failures. None other than the mass-murdering Sith Lord, Darth Vader himself. Vader murders Trilla on the spot as a punishment for her failures, and takes Cal and Cere on a vicious duel. Obviously, the two are no match for him, but narrowly they manage to escape. Aboard the Mantis, brief celebrations follow, what with them finally having accomplished their mission to unlock the vault and retrieve the Jedi holocron. Though their celebrations don't last too long, they realize that if they were to go through with their plan of finding and training the Force-sensitive children listed within the holocron, they would only be putting those children in danger. Realizing that there is only one right course of action to choose, Cal destroys the holocron with his lightsaber. And that's the full story of Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Its sequel, Jedi Survivor, is not far away from launch now, and though we have little to no idea where its story will take us, especially within the context of the larger Star Wars universe, we're more than a little excited to find out what the future holds for Cal, BD-1, and the crew of the Stinger Mantis. Hey, did you know that we at Gaming Bolt upload new videos every day? Stick around, drop a like, subscribe, and hit that bell, and let us know what kind of content you'd like to see in the future with a comment below.